Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? SonicWeb Studios is the answer. SonicWeb Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Mosensia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosensia has garnered great reviews and Evil Love and endorsed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Heard worldwide on Geo 7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out t-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, and more. You can get gifts 24/7 anytime. Go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, including t-shirts, hoodies, and tank tops and more, go to Amazon.com and go to the Me and Mosensia store and check out his books like Missing, Once, Wrinkles, and make sure you do so today. And don't forget to support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, as well as PayPal, and also the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you donate generously today. We're here with a terrific gentleman who is from New York and had just toured all over. He's very multi-talented, going from New York to London to Mumbai and now in LA. He's a 26-year-old singer-songwriter, and he's also got a music video that's in competition with Paul McCartney and Yo-Yo Ma, and he's up there in really good company. He's also had not just 1, but 2 nominations for Best Animation and Best Music Video. We're going to talk about the music video Kohima, along with his other music out there. This guy's amazing on Spotify, and he's looking forward to not just meeting Paul McCartney, but maybe beating him as well, too. So live, ladies and gentlemen, from Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Los Angeles, the very, very multi-talented Saahil Bhargava. Saahil, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to have you on board as well, too. So you basically are a 26-year-old singer-songwriter. So you came from New York, you went to London, you went to Mumbai, to LA, and you pretty much just traveled all over in such a short amount of time, and you made big news by having a music video in the competition with Paul McCartney and Yo-Yo Ma, and you had not just 1 nomination, but also 2 for Best Animation and Best Music Video called Kohima, and you just have a really interesting story to tell. And before we get into all that, tell us how I first got started.
Well, do you mean like how I first got started with music in general or Kohima specifically?
Yeah. Music in general, it's like just go
All
to the
right.
Wayback Machine. You know, think of like getting the time
Sure.
machine. Doctor Who's like go in the
Go
Wayback
way
Machine.
back to the 90s. Got
Yeah.
you. Well, uh,
Oh, that was the best. I'll tell you, that was the best.
well, I guess I got started when I was a little kid. I started singing pretty much like when I learned that people could sing, and I've been singing ever since. And I started off as a classical piano player, a lot of like Chopin and stuff like that, and also playing and also singing a lot of music. And as I grew up, I started to also play a lot of rock music, a lot of jazz, and so on. Eventually became a rock guitarist as well, which pretty much shows in Kohima as well with the way I like to write my music.
Mhm.
Um, but the big thing for me that really kind of lit the fuse for how my music is today is I did a lot of musical theater work when I was in New York studying how to sing like, in the musical theater style, and also how to write that way. And it influenced me in terms of how I write all of my songs in one very specific way. All of my songs are stories. Kohima is a specific story about a World War II battle, and a lot of my other songs as well are, for now, short stories that each are telling a full story arc over the course of an entire song.
Oh, wow.
And I think that, it uses my strengths as a singer, as a writer, not just as a songwriter, but as someone who writes for, animation stuff in my other job. And also as an actor, it allows me to take all of the stuff I've learned from, doing all of that work and put it into one thing. And so um, for me, that's one of the most exciting elements about working on my kind of music. It's to be able to take people into another world, into another part of history, like in the case of Kohima, or into mythology, or even into video games and stuff like that, and have them inhabit that space over the course of that song, and have me as the singer being their guide as they're going through that space.
What got you interested into Kohima in the first place?
Well, I was working on a project that had me looking at big battles in history. I actually
Hmm.
have the book back there. And I saw Kohima as one of the battles in this history process, this research process that wasn't really getting talked about too much, and it's one that doesn't get talked about a
Really?
lot anyway. Yeah, and it's weird because it's a very crucial World War II battle. It took place in the northeast part of India, in Kohima and Imphal, which is next to Kohima. And it's this big, huge offensive that the Japanese undertook to invade India. And a lot of local Naga, brave soldiers from the northeast of India actually had to defend their homes against the way, way more, prepared, organized, powerful Japanese forces. And the Battle of Kohima itself stood out to me because it's just a brutal, horrible, nightmarish battle. There was actually at one point, the battle was taking place over the length of a tennis court on an actual tennis court where they were fighting hand to hand and like throwing grenades at each other because they had run out of bullets.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
a absolutely traumatizing battle. And so that's where I got interested in telling the story in Kohima. But for me, the key thing was I didn't want to tell the story of the whole war and like, the military strategy of it. I really wanted to focus on one individual soldier and, a normal soldier who's not the general, who's not, calling the shots. Just a guy, a young guy who is in the middle of this horrifying battle. And what are the emotions he's going through? His panic, his desperation, his just sheer desire to go back home, to survive and go back home to his loved ones. And really, that's what Kohima turned into. That's where the concept came from, that theme and that idea of what's going on in the soldier's head in the middle of, artillery fire and guns and everything.
What was it like this one particular soldier with a particular personality, or was it just something that was just drawn from like, with other soldiers?
Well, it was a combination of, I read a lot of primary sources, not just about Kohima, but a lot of World War II battles as well, them talking about their experiences. And then I created, it's not based on a real life soldier. I created a soldier who, essentially the way I thought about it is, what if I was that guy? What if I
Hmm.
dropped myself in his shoes? What would be going through my head? And, it involved me kind of putting myself in that imaginary circumstance and thinking, what emotions would I be going through? What would I be saying? And that's what led to the lyrics in Kohima. um, it's very much supposed to be something that when you listen to it, my hope is that you feel for this soldier, that you feel his pain and you know, his panic, but also you want him to get out. You want him to be able to go back home, which he so desperately wants.
Hmm. And how long did it take for Kahima to recover from the disaster after being run over by Japan?
To be completely frank, I haven't looked up too much about the recovery process, but I know that that battle had a pretty significant impact on the population there because for the longest time when the battle began, reinforcements from the rest of the British Indian National Army didn't arrive. It
Oh wow.
was the ones who were already there and then the locals who were fighting. And so many young men, lost their lives in this fight. And it was like a lot of other World War II battles. It wasn't a done one and done kind of battle. It lasted a little while. And so it also probably took a huge toll on the resources and the landscape of that area with all the explosions and stuff going off. So, one of the things I really wanted to do, which of course I haven't been able to because of the situation in India right now with Corona, was I would have liked to, and I hope to in the future, visit Kohima so I can actually see firsthand how do they talk about the Battle of Kohima? How do they talk about the Battle of Imphal? How do they talk about how that community's, history and culture has been impacted by such a crucial moment in their history?
Hmm. And in terms of the Japanese invading Kohima, was this in the early
Mhm.
stages of World War One, the middle stages, or
That
later
was World
stages?
War II. It was
Or
it
World
was
War
in
Two. I'm
the
sorry, World War Two.
yeah, yeah. It was in the mid to late stages. So at this point, the Japanese had already started, engaging. They'd already gone through a lot of East Asia as well, and so they were trying to break into India. And their strategy really was that they were trying to expand westward. And so I think the big thing about this battle is that if the Japanese had continued going, they would have split the attention of the British, because all of a sudden the British, who were already having to deal with the Germans and, the stress of having to fight an uphill battle for them at that point, they would have had to divert more resources to protect India, which was such a, at the time, a big part of their colony or their empire. Indians don't particularly think too fondly of the British when it comes to the empire side of things. But at that time, the British had a lot of interest in making sure that India didn't get invaded too. And, if the Kohima invasion had been successful for the Japanese, you never know what could have happened in World War II.
Hmm.
Um,
I was just thinking about that when you mentioned about Kohima. It's like I didn't even know about this until you brought that up as
mhm,
well too. That
mhm,
if it sounds like that in a sense Kohima kind of got stopped in a way, but then the Japanese just kept moving and moving and almost got to where it's like they pretty much got ended by the United States. And of course, we all know about that with
Yeah, I mean, this was. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, this was in the it was like the late part, like mid to late part. It was like, I think, 1943, 1944, and so the Japanese were already engaging with the United States at this point too. And so, like many World War II battles, they were split on two different fronts. And so for them, this was a really important invasion. And if it had gone successful, it might have given them a different kind of avenue in World War II. But obviously, the fact that they got held at Kohima while also being pushed by the Americans, I guess my gestures wouldn't make sense because it's the other way around for you. But
right.
if Kohima and India are over here and the Japanese are fighting the Americans over here, them being able to expand further over here would have given them a lot more, well, a lot more territory to work with, as opposed to being stuck here, which means they can't expand further this way, and also they're being pushed slowly by the United States from island to island over here. And obviously, it culminated in 1945 with really awful thing happening to two Japanese cities from the nuclear bombs. But it was a brutal fight. And World War II, there's so many battles, not just Kohima. Stalingrad's a big one that people talk about a lot, that are absolutely horrifying. And so for me, I think that the cool thing about the song Kohima is that while it is set in the Battle of Kohima, and there are little things in there that indicate that, I think the overall message and theme can apply to World War One, can apply to Vietnam, can apply to Korea, can apply to so many different modern warfare.
Hmm. Right, that makes perfect sense too. And with the Battle of Kohima being significantly weakened by the Japanese, they didn't have much resources left to try to invade the United States. Bombing Pearl Harbor was kind of like last resort in a sense.
Right, yeah. I mean, at this point, the Japanese, the reason that they weren't able to prevail in Kohima not just because of the bravery of the Northeast Indian soldiers, but also because at some point they said this is not worth it. We cannot keep sending soldiers to this. And so they had to pull out because of exactly what you said. They were being pulled apart by so many different things happening at the time. I'm curious how much of overlap Kohima had with their invasion and expansion into Australia, which I don't know too much about, but the Japanese were really trying to be, this imperial powerhouse in the same way that a lot of the Europeans were trying to be. And that's something that dates all the way back to 1905 when, their navy was finally able to hold up against one of the European superpowers, the Soviet Union, or Russia at the time specifically.
Wow, I actually learned a lot talking to you about Kahima as well too, and I can see why it's up for nomination as well too. Why is it up for nomination? We'll talk about that in just a minute. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show
Sure.
at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look in professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960 or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Mosensia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosensia has garnered great reviews and even loved and enjoyed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon. Don't forget to check out the Mike Wagner Show on over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and check out the Mike Wagner Show merchandise at the Mike Wagner Show podcast on Amazon, and also for great merchandise and great books by me and Motion Zia. Check out the Me and Motion Zia store on Amazon today. And don't forget to support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and also the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here with 26-year-old singer-songwriter Saahil Bhargava here on the Mike Wagner Show. And before we talk more about your video Kohima going up against two of the Nobel powerhouses, Paul McCartney and Yo-Yo Ma, tell us about your journey going from New York to London to Mumbai to LA, and of course other parts in between. I mean, it's just amazing for someone like you.
Well, born in New York and lived there for a little while when I was a kid, and after that we moved to London for a shorter period of time. I think it was only about a year and a half, as my parents were transitioning from working in the US to going back to India. And then I spent the bulk of my schooling years in Bombay in India, where I did all of my music training and everything. So, that's where I started my performing and singing and everything. And then after that, I wanted to come back to the US because I would come here every year. I'd be here for a couple of months in the summers and so on. And so I wanted to come back here to pursue more music stuff, more entertainment stuff, more writing and everything. And so I did my college out in Connecticut at Wesleyan.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah. And then after spending a couple of years in New York, I wanted to move out to LA because, I mean, if you're doing stuff in this industry, you got to check out LA, or so everyone's told me. Um, for me, I mean, honestly, my LA experience, I think about 85 or 90% of it has been in lockdown. So I've been, very much itching to get out and play live shows here in LA as things are slowly opening up and so on. But it's definitely nice to have lived in a lot of different places because it gives me different perspectives to, think about and work with. And it also taught me so much about the world. And I hope to continue living in more places in the future too. I'm not done right here just yet.
And we certainly want to move around and showcase your work and everything, and getting
hmm
back to music and how you got started and everything. What was that one precise moment that influenced you into what you're doing today?
Well, the one precise moment where I realized I wanted to sing was I had gotten in trouble in school just because I was a bit of an energetic kid, and so I was in the principal's office on the Tuesday of that week where he was yelling at me, telling me that you know, I'm too wild, this, that, and the other. And the next morning, we had a singing recital. And the way my elementary school used to do was that every kid had to sing regardless if they wanted to or not, which is terrifying.
You
It's
sing.
terrifying. Oh, I mean, seriously, like it was like that. And so, like, every kid had to do it. And so, I fortunately already enjoyed singing, but I'd never had like that one moment where like like you get goosebumps and like this is it, the moment where you're hooked. And that was that moment for me. I sang a song by oh my God, I think it was a boy band song. I was in like second grade, I think. It was
Woo.
Westlife's World of Our Own,
Hmm.
way back in the day, right? And I
Yeah, too
sang
many
this
boy
song
bands. I
singing.
I practically lost track of some boy bands myself, or even girl bands. I've lost track.
I mean, like it was all the rage in the '90s, as far as I know. I mean, and so this was a song that I sang, and it's like a five singer song. I sang all the five parts by myself, and I got a standing ovation. And
Wow.
everyone, the parents who had been yelling at me for being a wild kid, the principal who had told me that I was like too wild for school, all of them gave me a standing ovation and were like, one more. And that was the moment where it sunk in that, yeah, I want to keep doing this. This is what I really love more than anything else.
And I'm sure the principal is probably happy with right now with your video being nominated with Paul McCartney. I can hear him right now. So,
I would
and
hope so, man. There's no bad blood or anything there. He yelled at me as a kid, like, and I probably deserved it too. I was a wild kid.
I
But
I think many of us went through that too, one time or another, and some change, some don't. And who are some of our favorite artists and singers and musicians growing up?
well, growing up, I used to listen to a lot of classical music, so a lot of Chopin, a lot of Beethoven, a lot of real classical romantic era stuff, a lot of Rachmaninoff because my mom is really into that stuff,
Hmm.
and then a lot of classic rock, Pink Floyd, U2, Queen, all the good stuff. And then as I got older and started to discover my own music, that's where I fell in love with Chris Cornell's music. I really like Linkin Park. Chester Bennington is the singer, of course, that inspired me to sing in the first place. And as a composer, I also started listening to a lot of jazz in particular, Dave Brubeck, his, the Dave Brubeck quartet in particular is one that I definitely love listening to. So, it goes all over the place for me, but it all starts off with me as a little kid.
Mhm. I remember listening to Dave Brubeck with Take Five, one of his classics. And of course, I always
Hmm.
ask the jazz, fascinated by those, the ones that are passionate about it. What are your thoughts on Miles Davis's Bitches Brew?
You know, I used to play a lot of jazz standards when I was in high school. Like I was a jazz pianist. You can see the piano here. I don't think we played a whole lot of Miles Davis, so I'm not sure I'm particularly familiar with the song by name. I know I'd recognize it if I heard it. The ones that really, really stuck with me, Herbie Hancock, of course, because he's an
Oh
absolute legend.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, yeah.
Rocket.
Is it Mimosa? Is that by George Benson? I think it is. Um,
Mimosa. Hmm.
that song, I love that song. The chord progression in that song is just, it's something that playing that on the
Hmm.
piano is just so delightful because it really allows you to kind of spread yourself out on the keys because it's a very flowing kind of thing. And then of course Dave Brubeck, Take Five, yes. Blue Rondo, love that song. I used to perform that song with a saxophone player when I was in school.
What
Um,
was the name of the song again? I didn't catch it.
Blue Rondo a la Turk.
Oh yes, okay. And I
Yeah.
think that was like
If
on
this thing
side
was
one,
plugged in,
side
I'd
two. I
play a
can't
little bit
remember.
for you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
go ahead.
ba da
Yeah,
ba da
by all
ba da
means, go
ba da
ahead.
ba da ba da ba. Oh no, it's not plugged in. My Roomba was eating the
Oh,
wire, so
bummer. It's
I
like
was about to say if it was plugged in, I'd play it for you, but it's not plugged in. Uh,
that's okay.
yeah, but it's the ba da ba da ba da ba da 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 da
Oh
da da
yes,
da
okay.
da 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 da. Yeah, your audio listeners are gonna be like, is he playing? No.
Is it live or is it
Uh,
Memorex? That's what they said back in the
oh my
day
God.
too. So, and you also had
Yeah.
some other great music as well too. You also had besides Kohima, you have Mama, Wind,
Hmm.
and Plug in Babe or something
Plug-in
like that.
Baby is a cover.
Was
Yeah,
that?
Plug-in Baby is a cover of a
That's it.
Muse
Yes.
song. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one was like the first one I released because I recorded that right before the lockdown and I made the music video for that. Or it's not even a music video, it's more like a cover video. I made that during the lockdown. I actually filmed the video like right over here in my apartment. And so that was just a fun one just to kind of kick things off. But Wind and Mama were my first two originals that came out. Um, and those were the ones that preceded Kohima, of course.
Mm, that is very interesting. And before we talk more about Kahima and what else you based your
Hmm.
lyrics on? I know we talked about Kahima talking about the war, but what else you based your lyrics
Hmm.
on when it comes to your music?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, they're all short stories in and of themselves. And so, Mama is a story inspired by a animated TV show or an anime because it's from Japan called The Promised Neverland, and it's inspired by a specific character, one of the main villains of the first season of The Promised Neverland. The story is about a young woman who grows up in an oppressive and a hostile environment, and she just wants to escape so she can follow her dreams, be a person. But you know, she finds out as she tries to escape that it's impossible. She would die if she tried. And so she
Mm,
conforms, she gives in, and she becomes the very thing that she sought to escape from, the same oppressor. And as she grows up, she eventually becomes a mother and discovers that her own kids want to escape just like she did. And now
wow.
she's the very thing that she wanted, that she's the very thing that's keeping her kids from escaping. And, that's the entire arc of her realizing what happened over the course of her life. Her kids eventually do end up escaping because they work together to get out, something that she was never able to do because she was all alone. And at the end of the song, the last lines are, I'm hoping, I'm praying you will find the light, realize your dream. Like she has this bittersweet feeling of I'm losing my kids, but I'm happy for them because they're getting to do something that I always wanted to. And yeah, I think that's a song that you don't have to have watched The Promised Neverland to understand that story. You can relate to that from any walk of life, really. It's all about trying to find your path and find your dreams, but dealing with the actual obstacles in your way.
Hmm.
And sometimes how they can be so overwhelming that it's tough.
Hmm. And
Um,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh yeah, go. Well, I was gonna say like the other song "Wind" is about a very, very different topic. But did you have a question on Mama first, or do you want me to
Oh no,
go
keep
ahead?
going.
Okay, cool, perfect. Well, Wind is a very, very different song. It's inspired by a very specific conversation from the video game The Last of Us.
Oh wow.
And it's the premise of Wind, the song is what is it like to be living your last day? What goes through your head? And it was basically me putting myself in those shoes. And the story, I guess, of Wind is this guy, this main guy, has been infected by a virus. You could, it could be like a zombie virus or something, because the game Last of Us deals with zombie-like infected creatures. And he knows that there's no cure. He knows that this virus is going to take over his mind and leave him almost like a passenger in his own body. And rather than fight it, he decides that, you know what, I'm just going to go out into nature and enjoy the day because I know I'm fading out. I might as well take in everything around me. And so the song Wind really starts off very uplifting, you know. It's about the rivers and the trees and everything that he's taking in nature. But as the song continues, he starts to realize that he's not okay with this. He doesn't want to disappear. He doesn't want to fade out. He doesn't want to die, and his emotions start to take over him. And the song, what I really like about it, both the lyrics and the way that I've written the harmonic structure of it, is it progressively gets more and more sad and dark as he
Wow.
keeps singing the same thing over and over again. You know, the lyrics of the chorus are, "I'm breathing in this feeling one more time, a taste of life with my own mind. I'm taking in this moment through my eyes. The birds will still be singing, the wind will still blow on." And the first chorus, it sounds kind of happy, but when you start to realize what he means by that, they're going to be singing and going on without him, and he's going to be missing all of this. Um, you know, it's a song that for me, I guess it makes sense considering I wrote all of these things during lockdown. They all came from me just trying to think introspectively about, what's it like to lose a part of yourself.
Hmm.
And all of these songs are actually going to be on my upcoming EP with one more song on it as well. And they're all dealing with that theme of like, what's it like to lose an important element, a crucial element of who you are or what you want in life.
Hmm. And that's very fascinating as well, too. And before we talk about your upcoming EP and everything else, and we'd like to stress
Hmm.
as well, too, that Kohima is up for in competition in the LA Shorts International Film Fest, and you'll go up against Paul McCartney and Yo Yo Ma. So I mean, you're just in great company there.
Yeah, yeah. I hope I can live up to that. I mean, those guys are absolute legends, and it's so exciting and honor and an absolute honor to be nominated alongside them and so many of the others. All I can say is looking forward to seeing the results. Hopefully, I get a good result from the festival, and even if not, I'm hoping that my future music can continue to live up to the amazing stuff that Kohima has had with its response.
Hmm. And also too, the winners will also be shortlisted for the Canadian Screen Awards as well too, and BAFTA as well. So it's just like there's more ahead, not just the LA Shorts International Film Fest, but the BAFTA and the
Hmm.
Canadian Screen Awards, and more to come.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a really amazing festival, and uh, I'm so excited to see what happens. It's such an honor to be there.
And then when you first got news, you go up against Paul McCartney and Yo Yo Ma. It's like, what are some of the thoughts that ran through your head?
Um, for starters, it was just like, oh my God, what is happening? It was very much I don't even know if it was disbelief as much as it was just shock that I can't believe it. It was kind of surreal. And after that, when it kind of settled in, I was much more, grateful that I'm there and excited to see if, Kohima can get a positive result in either category, whether it's animation or the music dance category.
Hmm. And where can we find Kahima and also your other music at?
Well, my music is on Spotify. It is on YouTube. That's where all the music videos are, of course. It is on Apple, Amazon, really any kind of streaming platform. And we will have more music coming soon.
And don't forget a reminder as well too that you're for two nominations: best animation and best music video. And of course, let's all hope for that.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. And what's coming up for Saahil Bhargava and more, we'll find out in just a minute. Listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor, the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's Ye of Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with the multi-talented singer-songwriter Saahil Bhargava after this time out. We're back with the amazing 26-year-old Saahil Bhargava here on the Mike Wagner Show, and just took us through an amazing journey going from New York to London, Mumbai, and LA, and also having Kohima going up in the LA Shorts International Film Fest competition against Paul McCartney and Yo Yo Ma, which, by the way, it's See Me, a global concert. Paul McCartney, when winter comes, just an elite company, and talking about music as well. And speaking of all that, what can we expect from you in 2021 and beyond, Saahil?
Thanks, Mike. I think that oh yes, the next thing on my calendar and the next thing to look out for is my upcoming EP, which will be about, I'm sorry, which will be out in about a month. It's going to be out in August, and that one is going to feature a song with another animated video. It's going to be very different from Kohima and Mama, but I think it has some stylistic similarities and certainly has the same singer, which is me. But that song is something I'm very much looking forward to. It has a more of a cinematic kind of um, melancholy tone to it, I think, and it'll be very, very different from the more desperate and frantic tone of Kohima for sure.
Hmm.
So that should be out in the first or second week of August. We're just trying to figure out exactly when we want to put everything together.
That sounds very good. Looking forward to it. And who do you consider your biggest influence in your career?
Oh man, what a question. I think as far as my singing and songwriting goes, I'd probably say Chris Cornell or maybe Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance. He's a storyteller, both in his singing and in everything else he does.
Okay. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
I would probably say if you want to do something in music or any kind of arts, practice makes perfect and also keep performing, figure out exactly what you have to say and try and find a way to make it work. But the best way to do it is to learn from how learn from your mistakes and learn from constantly getting more experience.
And that sounds amazing as well, too. Once again, we're with Saahil Bhargava of Kohima here on the Mike Wagner Show. Saahil, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you soon. And do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on 2021 beyond. Don't forget to keep in touch. And once again, tell us about your upcoming project. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your works?
Thank you so much, Mike, for having me. You can find me on Instagram at Saahil Bhargava. You can find me on Facebook at Saahil Bhargava Music. You can find me on my website, which is sahilbhargava.com. And of course, Spotify is the best place to find my music. YouTube is the best place to find my videos. And, feel free to give me a like, comment, subscribe, share, listen, whatever.
We certainly will do so. Once again, Saahil, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on 2021 beyond. Don't forget to keep in touch. You've been absolutely terrific, and we wish you all the best in the LA Shorts against Paul McCartney and Yo Yo Ma. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.